All righty. Special request video on this. Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn in a Ring Magazine article seems like he is throwing Dillian Whyte under the bus a little bit. Said his career's on the line and Dillian has to do something to prove him right. But he, Eddie Hearn, did what he was supposed to do. He had no choice. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Also, thank you so much to the Patreons on the Patreon channel. Thank you guys so much on the Cash App, the Venmo, and Super Chat and the live streams that we do. You guys are so very much appreciated. Also, this video, we're gonna dedicate this to one of the longest subscribers to the channel, Expert Genius. What's up, my man? It was good to see you in the chat the other day. All right, let's move into this. It's been 21 days since Dillian Whyte popped dirty. You remember that? It was 600 days. I've been waiting. It used to be 600 days. That was a countdown. 600 days before he became the mandatory. 600 days. I've been waiting to be, what did they say? He said I was the mandatory for 600 days. That's how everybody was interpreting. But he had been #1 challenger with the WBC for 600 days. And it was such a shame, such a tragedy that they didn't make him the mandatory. But now after he pops dirty and becomes the shortest reigning mandatory in the history of the WBC, from what I know, maybe the shortest reigning mandatory in the history of boxing. How long was he mandatory? A week? Was he mandatory a week? I don't think he was. 6 days, something like that. Whatever it wasn't long. 6 days. 6 days as the mandatory before the WBC stripped him of that distinction for testing positive for D-ball. And I guess because sometimes, you know, people watch these videos and they're not up to date. That is why he got stripped. He tests positive for D-ball, a performance-enhancing drug, on the 17th. I do believe the date was the 17th that he popped dirty, okay? On the 17th of July. And they have not had the B sample tested. And it is the 7th day of August. And you know the saying, 30 days has September, April, June, and November, which means everybody else has 31. July has 31 days, which makes that 21 days ago that he popped dirty, and we still do not have a B sample. We have all kind of distractions going on to try to sell to the public that Dillian Whyte didn't pop dirty, saying he passed his pre-fight test and his post-fight test, right? He passed the pre-test VADA and the post-test, the pre-fight VADA and the post-fight VADA. And he passed the post-fight UCAD test. Oh, what a deflection, what a smoke screen. What was caught was on the 17th, which was 3 days before the fight. The pre and post fight urine tests are done the day of the fight. What was in his system when he popped dirty wasn't in it 3 days later when they tested him before he went in the ring. Those were tests that took place after the hearing that somehow, crazy enough, allowed him to step into the ring with Oscar Rivas. So, Eddie, being quoted by Ring Magazine, says, the world thinks Dillian is guilty. And they are making it, they need to know the truth. But Dillian has not provided them the information that they need because it's confidential. He can't share with it because it's confidential legal information. So he can't share why he's innocent. But it's up to him to do so. But Eddie Hearn says, but me, hey, they cleared him to fight. They cleared him to fight. And since he was cleared to fight, I was contractually obligated to let that fight go on. Because I promised Oscar Rivas that, hey, if Dillian Whyte passed his test, hey, Oscar, I owed it to you to let you fight. Otherwise, you would have sued me for telling you. Who was he going to sue? Oscar Rivas? Oscar Rivas was going to come in there and sue him? Hey, hold on, man. You turned off the fight because of the guy being under an influence of performance-enhancing drugs? That would have been, he would have had the option to say, hey, I know I want the fight. But I'll leave Eddie Hearn out of, no, I'm not going to leave Eddie Hearn out of that, because what he said was absolutely ridiculous. And it is, in the words of Bob Arum, absolutely obscene. Okay? That's like saying I hire a worker to come on a project. I have a suspicion that there's a gas leak in my house, but I smell the gas, and then I get some poot butt friend of mine to come in and tell me it's okay to let the guy in. It doesn't really smell like gas to me. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I know I'm smelling gas. I just used this little meter. It said gas. But then, hey, there's a gas leak. My friend tells me, no, it's okay. Go ahead and let him come in. Don't worry about it. Hey, we'll wait for another sample of the gas, next week. We'll bring somebody in there after the guy leaves to check to see if there really was a gas leak. Right? If the guy goes in there and the house blows up because of a gas leak, am I going to feel better because my friend told me to wait and get another test? I don't think so. Eddie Hearn had an ethical obligation to inform Oscar Rivas that he was going to get into the ring. He was getting into the ring with somebody they thought was under the influence of performance-enhancing drugs. And then let Oscar Rivas make the determination about whether or not he wanted to fight or not. That's not even complicated. You tell him. You're under contract with Oscar Rivas. You're also, I'm sure there's other things in there like, providing certain implied warranties, right? Like that you're going to get into a ring with somebody and then they're not going to have, you're not going to let somebody in a ring with brass knuckles on, right? Well, Dillian Whyte taped up his gloves. I knew that there was brass knuckles underneath his gloves, the new gloves, the ones that weren't approved. He has glass knuckles underneath his gloves, but hey, the guy outside the ring, the commissioner or whatever from the BBBOC said, let him fight. So, hey, man, I literally could do nothing about it. I couldn't tell Oscar Rivas, hold on, man, the dude's got brass knuckles and bricks, underneath his gloves. Man, do you really want to do this? What would have prevented Eddie Hearn from telling Oscar Rivas that? Because it's confidential. The BBBOC said under penalty of jail and death, you cannot tell Oscar Rivas, Eddie, about these performance-enhancing drugs that this dude just tested positive. You can't say anything about it until the B sample comes out. If the B sample ever comes out. It is 21 days. 21 days since he tested positive the first time. What takes 21 days to test? If it takes 21 days to test somebody, how did he pop dirty on the 17th? When was that test taken? In August? In June? What was it? When was that test taken? When was the A sample taken? The last week of June? And then they got it back on the 17th, right? Because must take 21 days to get that sample too. How can they test that sample and get it out and let it be known? Actually, not let it be known, because they didn't tell anybody. They held a secret hearing and cleared them. Anyway, this is disgusting. Eddie Hearn is right on one part. The world knows he's guilty, knows he popped dirty for D-ball. Some of the world is okay with him having pop dirty because it fits in their argument and they don't want to have to let everything fall apart. All the other stuff that they said in the past fall down like dominoes. But yeah, man, pretty much everybody knows the dude tested positive for D-ball. Ain't nobody buying that, but you don't get to throw him underneath the bus, Eddie. And what I would like to see is a punishment for Eddie Hearn. And and a punishment for the British Boxing Board of Controls. Because the British Boxing Board of Controls is not the UK Parliament. It's not Parliament last time I checked. So they can be punished for that as well. They've got a duty to protect fighters as well, because if they're not willing to do it, what are they there for at all to begin with? Why should they be even allowed? And that's the UK, it ain't the US. I'm not a citizen of the UK. I'm a citizen of the US. But just, inquiring American mind want to know, if they're going to do that, if they're going to let people slide like that, why should they be allowed to be the sanctioning body or to oversee boxing if they're going to do something as shady as that? Dillian Whyte needs to be held responsible. Eddie Hearn needs to be held responsible. The British Boxing Board of Controls need to be held responsible for this reckless endangerment and complete lack of regard for the safety and the well-being of Oscar Rivas, and the manner in which they did it, the clandestine manner in which they did it, has to make reasonable people suspect that they've done that before. But anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Should Dillian Whyte be held responsible? Should Hearn be held responsible? And should the British Boxing Board of Control be held responsible? But I'm definitely agree with Eddie Hearn on this one. Everybody knows that Dillian Whyte is guilty, and it ain't changing. And that is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.